Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me in part 3 of our exploration of the first 4 sutras of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, or these short, like one-line teachings that have a lot of depth and wisdom. This is part 3 of a series, so I would recommend that you take a look at parts 1 and 2 for some context. And for me, this third sutra, it brings a level of depth and contemplation and understanding that when I first encountered it, it was just, and still is, very exciting. I was ready for something deeper than just the physical practice. So in the last video, part 2, we spoke about sutra number 2 from the first book of the Patanjali teachings. And number 2 said yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind, or the cessations of the movements in consciousness. And now Sutra 3 says, so that the seer, or the witness, rests in its true nature. What a beautiful teaching, right? So there's this cessation, this calming or settling down of the movements of the mind and the consciousness, so that the witness, the true self, sometimes they call it the self with a capital S in yoga, so that the witness rests in its true nature. Lately, I've mostly been using the Iyengar interpretations of the sutras from my personal study, and I want to share with you just a brief quote from Iyengar regarding Sutra 1.3. So he says, he translates this sutra as, then the seer dwells in his own true splendor. He says, when the waves of consciousness are stilled and silenced, they can no longer distort the true expression of the soul. Revealed in our own nature, the radiant seer abides in its own grandeur. And then he goes on to say, in this state, knowledge dawns so clearly that the true grandeur of the seer is seen and felt. This vision of the soul radiates without any activity on the part of the citta, the consciousness. Once it is realized, the soul abides in its own seat. I was in a study group that I'm offering recently, a Yoga Sutras study group, and one of the students, she mentioned, I really love the use of the word rest here. The seer rests in its true nature. So it's not something that we need to actively try and do. It's a resting, it's a remembering, it's a letting go, it's a settling. So this is something that we can do in daily life, off the mat, calming the mind, inviting this resting in the place of the witness. And at first it can be difficult if we're not used to observing. We're used to just like running around, getting things done, obligations, reactions. We get kind of lost in those fluctuations of the mind. And so this practice of witnessing, observing, remembering, and at first it might be just once or twice a day, we remember to observe instead of just react. But this witnessing, this practice, it's just a very important and meaningful piece of the essence of yoga. And just imagine if the whole world had this practice, this capacity to witness, to observe. And this can be done at any time. So as always, please let me know if you have any questions. Let me know how this is going for you. And thank you so much for being on this path, for your interest, and sending much love. Namaste.